you were basically all the shows more or less. Was it just pure insanity backstage, or is it just a bit sort of over? You know what I mean? Over,
It's insanity, but it's like almost like controlled chaos, and everybody back there was like it was like a big insane fucking family. It was really cool. Like, and then like the first time I was ever on TV wrestling or on a TV on a wrestling show, I was like 15, 14, and so there was the ECW arena, the locker room, which was like huge, and then there were stairs up to the Eagles Nest where everybody would watch, and then there was a wrestling ring backstage. So me and my buddies, this was like 8th grade freshman year, we had like a backyard wrestling federation, and we'd bring our fucking gear bags to the ECW arena to take like fucking promo pics in the ring with our gear and shit. And the Blue World Order, that was Blue Meanie, Stevie Richards, and Nova. Yeah. And that the first night they decided to be those guys, or they're like, what does Diesel wear? We're like, I think he wears like black fingerless gloves. They're like, oh shit, you guys have that in your bag? We're like, yep. And he's like, we're like, oh yeah, you're gonna need sunglasses, take that. So we're like dressing all the fucking BWO guys up in our fucking backyard wrestling little bags that we all brought. And then they're like, you guys need to come out to the ring with us and carry these signs. It was like me, my cousin Vinny, my friend Ricky. There was a whole bunch of us. And so we got these BWO signs, and they come out to the ring, and we're coming through the crowd with the BWO signs. And I go to step over, I go to like hop the rail, but I'm kind of like a fat kid, and I fall right on TV. I get up, I hold my sign, and the fucking crowd saw me fall, and they were like, oh. So I ran around with the sign, came back, and everybody in the locker room, I remember I saw Louis Piccoli and my brother first. They're like, oh shit, you took your first bump on TV, yay. I was fucking mortified. I'm like, no, some guy grabbed my leg and tripped me. But yeah, they took me all over with them. And then even when they went to Florida, my brother's like, dude, it's not going to be the same without you. You got to come to Florida. So we were a whole bunch of us were all out in Florida. And I remember this night, my brother tells it as the night that I was kidnapped by Tracy Smothers and Tommy Rich. So like Tracy's on one side of me, Tommy Rich is on the other. Across from me is my brother, Tammy. Jericho's there saying hello to someone. He's got his chick with him. The Dudleys, New Jack, Dreamer. The entire floor is all like, it's just all wrestlers. So, long story short, I'm between Tommy Rich and Tracy Smothers. We're hanging out. Me and Tracy are slap boxing. I had like a Coca-Cola. Well, Tommy Rich is like, hey, bring me and my son a beer. And the lady's like, sir, he's not of age. He's like, all right, just bring me two. And then he's like, bring me a shot of Jack Daniels. And he took a shot of Jack Daniels and poured it in my Coke. I was drinking it. And then Tammy took some somas. And as soon as she fucking ate some sushi, funk, she fell face first in her food. And then so fucking my brother, New Jack, and the Dudleys all carried her out to the car. They got in the car. My brother's like, dude, let's go back to the hotel. And Tracy and Tommy, they're like, I'll stay with us. I'm like, all right, I'm going to stay hanging with these guys. So I stayed and partied with Tracy and Tommy. My brother thought we were in the car on the way, like following them. But that night, I guess I got a little drunk. I remember walking amongst like a sea of big people. And then I remember when I came back, my brother told me that he was like going to people's rooms looking for me and shit. And then he looked out the window and he saw me in the pool swimming around. And there was like a couple other guys chilling in the pool at like 3 a.m. And he's like, so he used to always tell a story how Tommy Rich and Tracy Smothers kidnapped me. But the ECW was a fucking fun adventure, man. Like they'd always have like little shit for me to do. They'd be like, Johnny, New Jack's looking for you. And he'd be like, hey, can I boost you up into that dumpster and see what kind of weapons you could find? I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm like, I found a hose and the top to a grill. I would just like find New Jack weapons but it was real fun, man. It was cool.
Did you ever see any like proper like backstage fights? Because there's so many documented, like a couple off the top of my head, Shane Douglas and Sandman, that was like a big one. New Jack versus anybody. Balls Mahoney versus anyone who said it was briquettes instead of coal.
I've seen heated back and forths. I'm trying to think because I've been in a lot of fucking locker rooms, so it's hard to really pin down if I remember any of the backstage fights. Not off the top of my head. I remember New Jack almost getting into a fight with someone, but again, like I can't really think of, other than the ECW guys beating the shit out of the guys in the street. I don't remember any of the guys fighting amongst each other. As you know, I've seen arguments and shit, but I don't remember a lot. Like, again, most of the time I was up watching the matches or doing whatever. So
who were like the most vocal people who were like arguing about? Let's assume matches. Was it Taz?
Well, Taz was like super serious about shit. Sabu was not vocal. He was he just kind of does his thing. We're boys now. We fucking talk all the time. But Tommy Rich was always seemed to be vocal. Tracy Smothers, Jack, New Jack, Balls, of course, was a freaking psycho about everything. It was definitely a cast of characters, man. So it was it was so funny. I was on Joel Gertner's podcast, and I remember being out in Florida for one of their shows, and the whole tour wraps up or whatever, and I'm standing. We're getting ready to take the tram from the hotel to the airport, and I'm standing there, and John Cronus is staring at me, and he's like eating something. He's like, "How come you got anal beads on your neck?" Like, how come I have what? Anal beads? He's like, those things on your neck, are they anal beads? I'm like, what the hell is an anal bead? He's like, they're beads that people put in their butt and pull them out. Like, why would anybody put beads in their butt and pull them out? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, no, these aren't anal beads. They're just regular beads. And then I remember telling my brother, I'm like, hey, you ever heard of anal beads? He's like, who the fuck's telling you about anal beads? I'm like, I don't know. I heard it at school. It was just funny. It was just a cast of characters, man.
Dude, well, speaking of a cast of characters, I mean, there's like all these absolute maniacs, larger than life type of people, and then there's Lance Storm, who your kid. Yeah. I'm saying your kid. That means your brother. Your kid was feuding with and teaming with basically at the same time. Did he like properly get along? Because obviously they're both like crazy wrestling fans, are really good in the ring.
No, they definitely got along great, and I think it was so. When it came to in-ring wrestling, there's nothing that Chris loved more. Like, he loved everything, and Lance was the same way. So yeah, they got along great. They pretended to hate each other for that angle, but as far as personally, they got along great. I still talk to Lance now. He did a tribute podcast to Chris. He did a couple of them, and just telling all funny stories about the two of them. So he was in Smoky Mountain too when Chris was there. So they'd known each other forever. But yeah, they got along, even though, Lance wasn't the most outspoken guy. Just when it came to in the ring, that's all Chris really cared about, Yeah. So yeah, they got along great.
Did anyone ever succeed in getting Lance Storm into any kind of caper?
Not that I could think of. No, nothing. Not that I can really think of. He seemed to just be just wrestling and then chill,
Dude, everyone's got a drunken Sandman story. What's yours?
Oh, dude, I have tons of them. Jesus Christ. I don't even... All right, drunken Sandman story. So after Chris's... So like, my two best friends in the wrestling business are Sandman and Sabu. And after my brother's wake, then we had the repast at this restaurant, and there was, full of people. And then 15 of my best friends and my sisters and Sandman and Sabu came back to my house to have beers in the backyard. I always have parties at my house. And then I have a friend who owns a hotel in town. So Sandman and Sabu stayed for the next couple days. Sabu stayed for 2 days. Sandman stayed for 4. So let's say day 3, we go to this place, Bar A. It's this huge fucking bar. We're drinking like crazy. We bring half the bar back to back to our hotel, and we have adjoining rooms, and I hear all this screaming and all this what the fuck going on, and Sandman's naked in the room, wasted, with a cigarette dangling out of his mouth, with his pants at his ankles. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Put your pants on. He's like, move. I'm like, you put your fucking pants on? He's like, why are you doing this to me? I'm like, because you're fucking naked, bro. And then at the time I was a rapper. I'm like, I'm like, let's rap. I'll rap if you pull your pants back up. He's like, all right, fine. And he pulled his pants up. And then later on, we got wasted. And he's like, let me see if you guys can this is the same night. He goes, check this out. And he ran and he jumped over the hood of a car. And so then, my friend's like, oh, dude, we could do that shit. And Spring Lake's like kind of like an affluent town. There's like Mercedes, fucking, like Bentleys and BMWs and shit. And we're fucking trying to jump over the hood of the car. And it's like catching the heel of our foot. We're fucking falling, stumbling, knocking into cars, knocking their fucking mirrors off. But Sandman was good. He could jump right the fuck over the hood of a car. But yeah, I have a lot of funny stories about Sandman because I would go visit him all the time. Like just drive up to his house, take the, I have to go see him. I haven't been to his house in like a year or two, but we still talk a lot. So yeah, I have a lot of drunken Sandman stories.
Have you got a specific story with Sandman and New Jack? Because they were sort of partners in crime for a while, I believe.
Not the two of them together. Again, like later on when I got to know him, then I got to know, them more like as an adult as opposed to me being like 15. So not really them together, but later on, I definitely had some funny stories. Like when Balls and New Jack had their beef, I was like I was like mediating it, and it's such a ridiculous story. I don't even know if I could even begin to start telling it. Like, so have you heard that Balls and New Jack had a beef, or no?
I don't think so. No.
All right. Well, you can check it out on they did a gimmick on RF Video called Face Off or whatever, but they had legit beef. So New Jack had a point, which Balls did the same thing to me. Balls is like, says to New Jack, he's like, I'm gonna cut a promo and I'm gonna drop the M-bomb. Do you care? Jack's like, yeah, I fucking care. Don't do that. And he's like, but do you really care? Like if I do it? He's like, yeah, dude, don't fucking do that. And Balls went and did it. So that's A. B is where shit starts getting weird. So I go to Balls' house. New Jack publicly fucking said, so this is what happened. This is all right. So Balls' story is this. He goes, oh, New Jack's saying all this shit. He's like, I met this girl named Teresa, and her husband is in a wheelchair. And I'm just calling her Teresa. He's like, I met Teresa after the show. After the show, she's a masseuse. So she said she'd give me a massage. So I went up in the hotel room and she gave me a massage. And then her husband wheeled over in a wheelchair and said, that's enough. Poof, and punched her in the face. And Balls is like, no, that's not cool. That's not cool. So I pushed him out of the hotel room and closed the door. So again, he's like, then I see him the next night. Now we're friends. He's like, I'm back in their room. She's giving me a massage. The guy comes over again, goes, that's enough. But he procures a bat from somewhere in his wheelchair and clocks the girl in the head with the bat. So Balls is like, now I'm pissed. So Balls runs the guy in the wheelchair, out of the hotel room, pushes him out of the wheelchair. So then I hear from New Jack. I'm like, what happened with some guy in a wheelchair or something? He's like, yeah, that dude. He's like, Balls threw him out of the fucking room, and they was in there doing some devil worshiping shit, cutting on each other, drinking each other blood. And he said that he has Hep C, and he gave it to the girl, and Balls is doing that, and it's getting all the boys. He's putting the guys in danger from doing that fucking shit. So that was the beef mediation. So I heard both sides of their story, and I think they eventually squashed it. But just hearing the two sides, like a guy in a wheelchair hit a girl in the head with a bat, and then Balls do like it was just the stories here in wrestling are so it's so hard to even tell.
That's a lot to take in for.
I'm telling you. And then
story.
you hear Balls tell it, and Balls tells it so convincingly. He's like, he ran over, and that's not cool. And he hit it with the bat, so I threw him out of the wheelchair. And then New Jack's like, they were in there. He threw him out the room because they were cutting on each other and doing like devil worship and sex and shit. So it's just only in wrestling is a story like that. But he's the same.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say he did something similar to me. Like I was up in WWE, did a dark match with Balls, and then Axel wasn't working there anymore. And this is after Chris died. Balls is like, he's like, me and you, I already talked to Shane, I talked to Laurinaitis, me and you were gonna be a tag team, blah blah blah. At the same time, my parents don't know I'm wrestling, and they're like, Johnny, if you keep doing this, you know, we can't go through this again. So fast forward, after WWE, I came back to do an angle with him on the Indies. He's like, I'm gonna get on the microphone. I'm gonna say, you know, your brother's rolling over in his grave because you stopped wrestling and you're a fucking piece of shit. But he like said all this shit about my brother. I'm like, dude, don't fucking say that. Like, what the fuck? And he's like, I'm gonna say it. And he fucking said it in the ring, and I fucking punched him in the face, and it was a whole fucking thing. So he did that. Like, you know.
I like how he'd do it and then go, what?
Yeah. Like, he's like, I told you I was gonna do it. I'm like, yeah, I told. And like the way New Jack, he's like, I said, if you do that shit, there's gonna be consequences and repercussions. And he did it. So fuck him. And I know that he does that because he did it to me too, you know. So